your conference call, will you have that going down the road, or do you have to get back to your office?
So I really want to hang out like throughout the entire day, but two screens so I can like work.
If I could have your attention. My name is Fish Fallon, I'm attorney for the Planning Commission. I just wanted to explain before we get going problems that we've experienced and what we're going to try to do about it in this meeting. We have a packed agenda, as you can see. There are actually 5 items, one's a public hearing. Then there are 4 other items, 2 of them are special exceptions. Special exceptions are instances where the Planning Commission hears the proposal, sends a recommendation to the Board of Appeals. Third is a site plan that has been bumped from the June agenda. The reason I say this is because the 2 items that are going to go to the Board of Appeals are scheduled already with the Board of Appeals, so we have to get them done. They're scheduled for, I think, the 20th this month. Preliminary to the public hearing is a proceeding where the public is invited to give comments. That's it. There won't be any colloquy between the Planning Commission and the public. In the special exceptions, there could be colloquy between the Planning Commission and the applicants. Anyone who's interested will be able to present any comments that they have. On Monday this week, we learned that we have a problem with a quorum. We have to have 4 people, members, in order to have a quorum, before we take any action. We knew the 2 were going to be on vacation this week, and we learned that Mr. Sutton had a fall. And also learned that one of the members has to leave at 3. So we have an hour and a half to sit down. We're going to need everybody's cooperation to get this done. We want to do it. We want to get it done. We want to give everybody an opportunity heard. We have to get it done as quick as we can. The way that we're going to do that help is anybody who is represented by counsel, the counsel is going to speak for. That goes at the public hearing and when it comes time for the Planning Commission to hear and make a decision on the proposal, make a recommendation on the proposal. The testimony needs to be limited, and this is in the public hearing, to the topic. The topic is zoning text amendment. The zoning text amendment comes to the Planning Commission for a recommendation. Recommendation goes to the county commissioners. Our ordinance requires there to be a public hearing, both bodies. So the public hearing that's going to be conducted today is for the Planning Commission to make a determination as to whether the zoning text amendment is good planning for the county. It meets the requirements of the comp plan, and in general is in the public interest. When it gets to the commissioners, there will be another public hearing. And at that public hearing, they'll make a decision, is it in general in the interest of the county, is it in the public interest? If that decision is made in the affirmative and the zoning text amendment is adopted, that does not mean anything other than that zoning text amendment applies across the board to every zoning ordinance stated in the county. Applies to any possible proposal. It is not specific to Great Oak Mountain. If the zoning text amendment is successfully applied for and becomes part of the law, then Great Oak Manor would have an opportunity to apply for the special exception. And the special exception would come to the Planning Commission for a recommendation, and then go to the Board of Appeals based on that recommendation. So at those two places, there would be an opportunity for the public to comment on whether that specific location is appropriate for this proposed, for the zoning text amendment. That's what special exception is all about. Permitted use in a certain location, it's up to the Board of Appeals to make the determination that the proposal is appropriate. So that, having said all that, we do request you to debrief. If you have any questions about this procedure, I'd be happy to answer it because you're going to be limited about what you're going to get from them. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, this meeting of the Kent County Planning Commission will please come to order. Our first item of business is the approval of the minutes from the July 5th meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as they were mailed to you?
I didn't see any.
I didn't see it.
Kim? I'll entertain a motion to accept them as they were presented to us.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes from the June meeting as presented to the
July meeting, okay? Is there a second? All right, so we will file the July 5th minutes as they were presented to us. At this time, I will open the public hearing on the Cliff Road property zoning text amendment, and this is to simply take comments. There will be no interaction from this body up here. That part will come at the last item on our agenda. And staff, would you give us a brief summary?
The applicant is proposing to amend Article 7, Section 7 and 16 of Kent County Land. This is a country and special exception use, which is in regards to the agricultural zoning district, resource conservation district, rural territorial, rural residential, critical area residential, and marine. They're proposing to remove that because exterior changes to the site structure are minimized. Principal and accessory structures may not exceed 50% of the gross floor area of each individual building of which existed as of August 1st, 1989. Proposing to add extension or enlargements of principal and accessory structures should maintain features and character that are consistent with the structures that existed as of August 1st, 1989.
Are you okay, Tanya? I saw you. Okay. So this is now open for any public comment on this zoning text amendment. Is there anyone who wishes to make a comment? And I will be asking that person to state their name and address for the record. Just comments. Okay, go ahead. Do you wish to do one?
Statements.
All right. Please come forward. Now, this is not site-specific. This is for the whole. Okay, please raise your right hand. Well, I don't have to swear you in. I'm sorry. Give me your name and address.
My name is Miles Barnard. I'm representing South Fork Studio Landscape Architecture, 10810 Road.
All right, and your comment is?
Thanks for providing the platform to voice our opposition to this application for text amendment. It's no secret and has clearly been stated by the applicant and planning staff that the idea for a text amendment came from the applicant's desire to build a permanent place for special event tents. Let's call this a tent patio. As you know, this property has reached its limit of expanding to 50% of the original structures in a paved patio.
Now, this is site-specific. When you say this property.
This is about the zoning text amendment.
Oh. Mitch?
How can it not be site-specific? This is about...
Because what they're charged with is considering the application that's in front of them. Nothing to do with this particular parcel.
You can present that at the last item.
That time may come if the application for the special exception, but not now. Is it a good idea? Is it in good planning to put this amendment in the ordinance?
Okay, I have one comment that I'll pull from my statement. It has been stated by planning staff and the applicant that this changed zoning ordinance will not have negative effect. When planning staff was asked for a list of all the country inns in Kent County, there was no list offered or presented. If they don't know where all the country inns are located, how can anyone know what the true impact of this change would be?
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have a comment on the zoning text amendment, not site-specific? Can we have,
Just a point of order. I'm Dan Saunders. I
Yes,
represent the
sure.
applicant. My understanding, the rules of engagement today are that anyone who is represented by counsel can speak through counsel. Yes.
anyone else just speak about the zoning text amendments, not site-specific? This is really confusing, so.
Thank you very much. My name is David Blitzer. My business address is Boone Blitzer Associates LLC, 104 South Cross Street, Chestertown, Maryland, 21620. I'm here today on behalf of a group of county residents, concerned citizens, to protest and object to the proposed zoning text amendment. Let me begin by just reminding the Planning Commission, if I may, of the standards for their consideration of a zoning text amendment under Article 12, Section 6 of the Land Use Ordinance, which provides that the Planning Commission shall address the public need for the proposed amendment, as well as the extent to which it complies with or deviates from the comprehensive plan and critical area law. The burden is therefore on the party proposing the zoning text amendment to demonstrate both the valid public need exists and that the proposed text amendment will meet that public need in a way that the current existing ordinance cannot. I think it's important to note, and while I agree that this is not site-specific, the nature of a zoning text amendment is not site-specific, it's impossible to ignore the applicant's own express admission of its purpose in submitting the proposed zoning text amendment. I believe the Planning Commission has already received a letter correspondence in advance of the hearing from the applicant. I have a number of copies here that I'd like to offer for your consideration as well. If I may.
Now, we don't have opportunity to read those right now.
Understood. I'm just submitting it for your consideration. This is, yeah.
Submitted to our office.
Yes. And to this commission.
I think they received that. This letter? They received copies.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good. Evidently, those materials have been received by you all, and I would suggest and urge you to take a look at the second page, which has the heading "The Contents." And I'll just read the applicant's own words here. The only matter pending is an application by the manor to the county commissioners for a zoning text amendment that, if approved, will provide the opportunity for the manor to do two things. Build a landscape patio that will serve as a safe all-weather level surface for those occasions when a tent is needed for an event, and construct 2 more rooms so they'll have the 15 allowed by law for a country inn. The applicant's own words have made this clear. This is for the applicant's personal benefit. This is not for the benefit of other country inns in the county. This isn't to foster the growth of tourism. It's not to promote existing businesses. This is specifically for the applicant. That's critical. It's impossible to have a public need that provides a private benefit to one individual business. That's not a public need.
Well, I think we all had that to read. I read it. Did you all get it?
Yes.
Read it? Okay.
In this case, this zoning text amendment is really, by the applicant's own admission, a well-disguised spot zoning effort by the applicant. In essence, the applicant is seeking a new use under the ordinance designed for its own personal gain, not to promote country inns throughout the county. In addition, I would suggest the applicant has failed to demonstrate a valid public need even exists for the zoning text. Nowhere in the comprehensive plan does it state that current lodging facilities in the county are inadequate to support the demand, the tourism demand on the county. The county website alone lists 56 separate lodging facilities that are existing right now. There's been no evidence or testimony, nothing in the application that suggests that there are opportunities this text amendment would afford other country inns in the county besides the applicants.
Don't you think this is rather specific to one applicant, and we've asked you to hold those comments?
I think that it's relevant to the public need, which is required showing in order for this commission to recommend approval of the ZTA. So I'm doing my best to contrast what has been offered in the application for this commission to consider versus what the reality is.
The application is what we will discuss at the end of today's agenda. This is just about the text amendment. I heard one good thing is that it applies to all these zoning districts if it was approved.
Yes.
So,
If I may, the applicant has also failed to demonstrate or state why the public need that it purports to support its application is not already being met by the existing ordinance. The ordinance provides other special exception uses like a retreat, which would allow the applicant to do precisely what it concedes this zoning text amendment is intended for citizens. The retreat does not contain a 50% expansion limitation, which the ZTA seeks to delete for country inns, except in the case of an AZD zone. If the applicant or any other existing country inn believed that they would have greater opportunities if they were not subject to the 50% limitation, they can simply apply for the special exception as a retreat. Essentially, the zoning text amendment would allow any applicant for a country inn special exception to operate as a retreat special exception without being subject to the review process for a retreat, or providing this planning commission or the Board of Appeals the opportunity to impose impact mitigating conditions on their approval or recommendation. For example, a retreat special exception has to have a minimum of 15 acres. There's no minimum acreage requirement for a country inn. This ensures an adequate distance from neighboring properties. Board of Appeals has expressed authority under a retreat special exception to place conditions of approval on the number and timing of outdoor events and music, which recognizes the potential impacts from event noise. There's no similar language in the special exception for a country. In sum, it's clear that any applicant could simply apply for a special exception as a retreat under the existing ordinance and enjoy the same benefits that the proposed zoning text amendment is purported to provide. Similarly, the zoning text amendment would effectively render the retreat special exception use meaningless under the current ordinance. 50% limitation is the primary criteria that distinguishes a country inn from a retreat under the ordinance. If this text amendment is approved, the retreat special exception would be meaningless, because no property owner would voluntarily subject themselves to the more expansive review process for a retreat when they could essentially conduct the very same activities with a special exception as a country inn, even though they don't have a minimum of 15 acres. If I may, there are a few comments that I'd like to briefly read in.
now I'm thinking that your comments are going to be, this is just about the special exception, the change to the zoning text. It is not site-specific.
Correct.
And you are making it site-specific. Go ahead. You need to hold this until our final. We're really pushed for time. We cannot duplicate testimony.
May I ask, Madam Chairman, then, when the review of the application, that portion of the proceeding occurs,
Yes.
may I then read in
Yes, you may.
statements from?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak about the text amendment?
I have just a very brief from my daughter, Hannah Bryan, who is not represented by counsel.
She is. She's listed on the letter from him.
She's not, fine.
She is.
the confusion stems from having both of these on the same agenda. Usually a public hearing is a separate event, but it's worked out this way. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak just about the text amendment and not cite I can't say that word anymore. Specific. That's it. Yes.
My name is Emily McCoy. I'm from the Kent County Department of Economic Development.
Could you come over? Can anyone hear her? Is this mic working, Tanya?
Yes.
Are you okay? I see you struggling.
No, I'm just.
Oh, okay. All right.
My name is Emily McCoy. I'm from the Kent County Department of Economic Development. The director.
Speak louder. I can see the people in the back can't hear you.
Come here, Mike. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. I am from the Kent County Department of Economic Development, and I am here to read a letter from the Director of Economic Development. She addresses both the Planning Commissioners as well as the Kent County Commissioners, and she states, "Dear members of the Planning Commission and Kent County Commissioners, I have reviewed and fully support the zoning text amendment application for Kent County Land Ordinance, Article 5, Section 716F, Special Exceptions Provisions for Country Inns. The proposed amendment allows for the opportunity to expand and diversify lodging businesses designated as country inns. There remains a shortage of lodging in Kent County during special events. Many tourism-related businesses depend on these accommodations, such as hunting, fishing, boating, and weddings. The Economic Development mission is to promote activities that seek to enhance the business community, the services and income opportunities available to residents, as well as the social well-being and quality of life for all members of the community. This amendment is aligned with that statement. The proposed amendment allows some flexibility for the country inns wanting to grow their businesses in Kent County and increases revenue for the county. The proposed amendment does not negate any project from the required standards for a special exception for a country inn. Sincerely, Jamie L. Williams, Economic Development Director."
Copy of that?
And
That statement? Thank you. Is there anyone else? Well, I see no other hands, so we will close. Oh, make it quick.
I know you thought you were going to get away with not listening to me for a minute. I'm Dan Saunders. I represent the applicant. I just want to respond to a couple of the things that have been said. The first is that this is certainly not spot zoning. It's the opposite of spot zoning, is applicability throughout the county. It doesn't only apply to our property, and it is written in such a way that it will not only apply to our property. Second, we submitted to the planning office yesterday a collection of letters. I'd like to move them into the record, ask you to review them, but essentially they are a collection of letters from other businesses in the county who support this amendment. The fact is that every time an applicant submits a text amendment, they have a reason to do so. They have something to benefit from it. That doesn't disqualify it as valid planning. We've all sat on committees where we agonize over what the zoning ordinance ought to say and ought not to say. We can't get it 100% right. It has to have some flexibility. And as time goes by and specific problems present themselves, it has to be tweaked from time to time. The issue here is public need, and the determination that you have to make is whether or not there is a public need for this. And from my point of view, the economy in our country is booming. Everybody's taking credit for that. It's not booming here. There's almost full employment in our country. We don't have full employment here. Our tax base is suffering. 2 significant restaurants have closed in this county recently. Others are struggling. Marinas are struggling here. Our comprehensive plan, we've given you a memorandum on this, but our comprehensive plans has a strategy for dealing with this.
and that is to support the growth of local businesses. Those are businesses who have already invested here and already have infrastructure. And this is an opportunity to help a local business or more than one local businesses expand on a modest level. It addresses a problem in the ordinance that is, in my view, arbitrary. We don't know where it came from, but it doesn't serve any legitimate purpose other than to stifle growth of the people who have gone into this very difficult business. And we have an interest in keeping these businesses successful, particularly event venues. They have a tremendous spin-off effect in our county. Restaurants, hotels, bed and breakfast, all have a benefit when country inns and event venues are successful. That's money that goes into our economy. That's the public need that we're trying to address. That's the public need that I'd like you to identify when you make your finding on this. And that's all I have to say, Madam Chairman. I know you're anxious, and I don't want to take other people's time. I do have one question. I didn't understand the final colloquy between the chair and council. Is the board going to be taking testimony later when it deliberates and votes? Was that what you said to him, or did I misunderstand?
We're just taking public comment.
Right.
We do not make any decision at this point. That will be the last item when we will make a decision and taking comment again. Is that right, Mitch?
We're not going to take argument.
Pardon?
Bring just an argument at that point between the protestants and the testimony.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't.
The difference is that it's going to be, the applicant is going to... hear you. The difference is that the applicant, when we get to the point where you're going to be deliberating, the applicant's going to present an argument as to why this should be, the recommendation should be favorable and goes to the Board of Appeals. Then the contestants are going to have the opportunity to argue the same thing, the same issue with the other side.
Okay, and I didn't understand that, and I apologize for having given my argument prematurely. I just didn't understand that rule. So I probably won't have anything to say later on.
All right. Thank you very much.
But I might.
All right. Is there anyone else who wants to just speak about the text amendment, not say...
Having said that, David, what were the letters that you had comments? Are they from your clients?
I would like to offer these, and if we're not going to have the opportunity to do so.
Well, why don't we do that, and then they can...
Mitch, this is also his folder.
Yes, this thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are 4 letters. Anna Fry, Ken Fry, Bruce Galton, and Ronald Fry. They'll be...
All right. Seeing no one else wishes to speak at this public hearing, we will close that now. So it is now closed, and we will reopen the Kent County Planning Commission meeting. Our first application for review today is Creophil Fibers Corporation. They're looking for a final site plan, and it is a planning commission decision. While they're getting their papers ready, I must state this, that my family is an adjoining property owner, therefore I have not sat to hear the other discussion on this application. When we came up with a low quorum, staff contacted the applicant's representative, and they decided that it would be all right if I sat in on this to make the final decision. The decision we make today is final, and if they get that, then they're good to go. Okay, please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear at the penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give is true, and state your name and addresses for the benefit of the tape?
I do. Kevin Sharon, business address is DMS and Associates, P.O. Box 80, Centerville, Maryland.
I do. Follow Fancy. Griffith Fibers, 10-400 Wilson Road.
Okay, staff, can you give us a...
Very brief description.
Yeah. Now, we have already had a preliminary when they first came in, told us what they wanted to do. We told them what we would like them to do. They came back for a preliminary where they had done most everything, and they received a list of what they needed to do, and hopefully they have done it. So we just checked that off today, and if they have everything in order, that's it. Okay.
So a basic description for this final site plan approval is to construct the shipping and receiving, 3 shipping and receiving additions to their existing buildings and the road. The property is currently occupied by several buildings that includes a maintenance building, shipping building, and 2 processing buildings, as well as the existing office. Proposed additions with a combined total of 23,264 square feet, 2 processing buildings and a shipping building. This case was reviewed for conceptual and preliminary site plan review on December 7th, 2017, where preliminary approval was granted. In order to receive final site plan approval, the applicant is to address the following. A forest conservation plan must be updated, which will supersede the 1994 plan, and the forest declaration or agreement must also be submitted for Planning Commission attorney review and be recorded with a copy of the forest conservation plan prior to the final site plan approval, or following the final site plan approval. As a consideration for final approval, the applicant is encouraged to add the existing A4 along the front of the property, which would extend the screening along Maryland Route 297. Both of those items have been accommodated and completed. Sediment and erosion control plans, as well as stormwater management computations, must be reviewed and approved by Soil and Water Conservation District. That has been finalized. Sureties for stormwater management, sediment control, and forest conservation must be posted prior to final. That has been finalized. So with that compliance documented in accordance with Article 5, Section 5 of the ordinance, staff would recommend approval.
Has there been any correspondence?
There has not been correspondence.
Okay. So we're looking for your sureties. Do you have them?
We have the sureties. The sureties have been submitted, and as usual, even an abbreviated staff report covers everything that I was going to tell you anyway. So the 4 items that were the condition of preliminary approval, as Ms. Mordock stated, have all been completed. Soil conservation has signed off on the plans. Sureties have been posted. Mitch Mao has reviewed and approved the forest conservation easement agreement, and we are requesting final site plan approval.
Okay, are there any questions up here?
I just have a couple.
Sure.
Kevin, I've noticed now that you've got trash or something piled up north of this building. I'm going to plan on, that's where you're going to leave that stuff all the time?
No, we're moving it.
Because it has to be screened if you're going to have it anywhere out there.
But it's not trash, it's raw materials, actually.
The outside storage requires screening too.
Yeah, that's why we need bigger buildings.
Well,
Yes. Yeah, it'll be taken care of.
Any other comments up here? Anyone in the audience who wishes to speak about this application? Seeing none, it comes back to you for any final comments.
We just appreciate your recommendation or your consideration for final site plan approval.
Okay. Anyone up here ready to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we grant final site plan approval to Crayfield Fibers Corporation located at 10200 Wharton Road, the 3rd Election District, to construct 4 additions to 3 buildings with a combined total of 23,264 square feet. And that the proposal is consistent with the strategies and goals of the comprehensive plan. Proposed additions comply with the setback requirements of the land use ordinance. Performance of the performance standards have been adequately addressed in the narrative that was submitted by the applicant. Certified engineer's report notes that there will not use or produce undue emissions of pollutants to the waters or airs of the county. The expansion will not generate glare, radioactivity, electric interference, smoke, particulate matter, toxic or odorous matter. Noise and vibrations associated with the expansion are those typically associated with industrial facilities and will be related to just tractor trailers and forklifts involved in deliveries and shipments. The applicant has adequately addressed the explanation of materials. Narrative states that truck trips to the site for shipping and receiving are anticipated to decrease by 2 or 3 or 4 trips per week. Vehicular and pedestrian movement is adequately addressed. Lights mounted on the buildings will be dark sky compatible. Stormwater management plan has been reviewed and approved. Forest conservation plan has been reviewed and approved. And it's for these reasons that I recommend approval.
Is there a second to that motion? Seconded. Is there any discussion? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. You can start building.
Thanks for your time.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Our next item is Kent County Board of Education, and they're looking for 2 things. They need a site plan approval, and they want a combined site plan approval. They need a special exception. The Planning Commission can decide today on the site plan and will send a recommendation to the Board of Appeals. Come forward. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear under the penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
And state your name and address for the benefit of the tape when it's transcribed.
Joseph Wheeler, 102 Bass Track Court, Chestertown, Maryland, 21620.
Okay, please have a seat, and staff will give us a quick review of what you would like to do.
The Board of Education is requesting special exception and combined preliminary and final site plan review to allow school bus parking lot on the existing bus parking area located adjacent to the former Wharton Elementary School building on Lambsman Road. The bus parking is proposed on the existing asphalt parking area with a security fence, cameras, and landscaping installed. In the narrative attached to the staff report that you received, the board has noted that there will be between 16 and 20 employees in this area on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. The school buses will leave the parking lot in the morning at around 5 a.m., return at 9 a.m., and leave again around 1:45, and end their day at about 5:30 in the evening. The board intends to install a 6-foot galvanized chain link fence with 3 access gates, and employee parking will be provided in the existing parking area adjacent to the school. The board also intends to install security cameras. The property is known as the Wharton campus and is comprised of the former Wharton Elementary building, the Kent County High School, affiliated athletic fields and buildings, as well as the county's small-scale solar energy system. The surrounding area is characterized by public amenities such as the community center, Wharton Park, the county grounds maintenance building, and the county water treatment facility, as well as residential and commercial development common to the village of Wharton. And the Board of Education property is otherwise surrounded by agricultural land. Relevant issues are the special exception specific standards for a school bus parking lot found in Article 5, Section 7.3, as well as the specific special exception standards found in Article 7, Section 2. Of note, the plan is for school bus parking only. Fueling and major repairs will not be done on the site. The closest dwelling is located approximately 300 feet from the parking area. The area will be designated for school bus parking, and there will not be any storage of materials on site. All of the county-owned buses are registered with MVA and are currently have up-to-date licenses. Any privately owned buses parked on site will likewise have to comply. The Maryland State Highway Administration has reviewed the project and determined that all access roads are capable of preventing traffic generated, and that a safe route for school bus traveling to and from the facility is provided, and there will be little change generated by the traffic of the buses parking there during the school year. The entire area is currently paved, and there are no current plans for expansion of that area. The applicant has submitted a landscape plan which exceeds the screening standards for the area of bus parking, and adequate restroom facilities have been provided through the former elementary school building, and that building is served by county water and sewer. Relative to the site plan review standards, which are applicable in Article 6, Section 5, of note is that this proposal represents a minor impact to the community, as no expansion of that parking lot is proposed, and as the parking area is located within the developed campus, used for a compatible purpose. So staff does support the combination of this review, contingent upon the approval of the special exception by the Board of Appeals. The Board of Ed has held a citizen participation meeting. It was held last evening at the Kent County High School, and I'll let Joe Wheeler update you on the events of that meeting. The proposal is consistent with many comprehensive plan goals and strategies and conforms to the applicable provisions of the ordinance. The parking area is clearly delineated with access for emergency vehicles also identified. Also of note, the entry point and access point will be from one centralized location off of Maryland Route 298. The turning radius has been reviewed by the Public Works Department and is found to be sufficient. But the Public Works Director does suggest that the parallel parking spaces be shifted toward the north a bit to ensure a clear turning radius, and I think that Joe has acknowledged that in the site plan. And of note, sureties in this case are really not applicable because we're dealing with the Board of Education and the county commissioners. The county commissioners will fund the construction of this project through the county's budget. So asking the county to put up a surety for itself wouldn't be necessary in this case. And the landscape plan will be managed by the Board of Ed and the county through the Tremendous Tree Program. So would either look to a grant or the county program and the state program. So staff would recommend approval of the special exception. I think that what has come up in the TAC review is that the generation of noise by the engines early in the morning should be addressed by Joe, and if that is adequately addressed, staff would recommend approval, and I do recommend approval of a combined site plan.
Okay, is there any correspondence?
No.
No? Okay, Planning Commission, shall we have a general discussion and then separate out the special exception? Just do it all at one time?
I just got some questions he has to answer.
Well, let's have Mr. Wheeler present his information. What would you like to tell us about the application?
I would like to tell you that we do have an updated site plan and the parking lot issue you guys had a concern with the.
How is it different from what we got?
This is different. This is the most recent. And what Becker Morgan did was adjusted the parking lot so that that last bus could make that turn. That was a question that you guys had.
Okay, so that was a TAC report to push them all up.
Yes.
Okay.
So that has been addressed.
That allows you still to have 16 buses?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We did hold a community meeting last night.
Right.
There were some concerned citizens about, there were some, I don't know what you call it, pushback? I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. No, we did have some some citizens that were concerned about the bus parking. They did have a few questions for us. I think the meeting went well. We addressed their questions. They still, left the meeting with their opinions about the bus parking being there.
Concerns.
Their concerns were, why do we have to have it there at Wharton Elementary School? Their concerns were access. We were cutting off the access between Wharton Elementary School and Kent County High School, and that access has been there for years. Those were the major concerns.
Okay. Anything else you want to share with us about this?
No, if you have questions for me,
I have a question, and it could just be wording. The drivers will be coming in the entrance of the
they will come.
Wharton Elementary.
Yes, they'll come in the entrance of Wharton Elementary, and they will park in front of the former Wharton Elementary
But
School.
when they say that traffic, that's that traffic. The buses will come and go through this.
Buses will enter and exit through Kent County High School.
Okay. The word traffic was a problem. Okay, any more questions?
Well, yeah, apparently staff, and I'm sure the neighbors do have a policy regarding the engine control at the start of the workday. Do these start up and run for any particular amount of time before they get in?
Cummins, each one of our school buses are Cummins engines, and Cummins recommends that we do a 15-minute startup time in the morning.
And they, when they come back, like for, I don't know, I see these guys, their buses parked sometimes for an hour waiting for the next trip.
They turn their buses off. The buses don't run in between runs, no.
And Joe, my only question, you hear all kinds of questions and thoughts on what's going to happen to the Wharton Elementary School. What happens if, you know, the county commissioners have made no secret that they want it? What happens if they decide that they're going to take it over, and then we've spent, I don't know, how much is that fence? Probably $20,000, $25,000. We spent that, and then next spring we're moving someplace else, and we've wasted that money.
My understanding, the county commissioners, and I don't think it's, they said they were going to do a feasibility study. So I guess in that feasibility study, they'll figure out where, if there's additional parking required. I think all that will be done in that feasibility study.
And these got this gate into this parking lot, which should stay open.
It's not going to stay open; it'll be locked. But that's what it's. Well, they'll have a key to unlock it.
And that'll just be a people gate.
That'll be a people gate.
Okay, all right. Any more questions?
Just the noise control, so the policy is yours, so you're enforcing it?
Yes. So what do you mean policy? All of our drivers have a 15-minute walk around that they have to do in the morning. They have to do a pre-trip inspection of the school buses. And like I said, they have a 15-minute run time. Cummins recommends that for those engines. And that's what the drivers do. They'll let their buses warm up, do the pre-trips, and move on.
So that wasn't an issue that was raised last night?
That issue was not raised last night,
Okay,
no.
thank you.
I think, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's a good situation based on the fact that you already have already have a parking lot there that's not being used by the county. You'll save yourself some money by trying to set up another parking area, for the county. And the way the school system the county claimed that there is no feasibility of money, this is a way to come in and set something up. But my question is, from what my understanding was that down the road, if they move the Board of Education to Wharton Elementary, what they had planned on, thinking about doing, what is going to happen to that parking area for your buses there?
I'm assuming that the buses would stay there.
Would stay there?
That would be the plan. So hopefully, like I said, the county commissioners, like I said, they're going to do that feasibility study, and then hopefully the bus parking will be incorporated, with.
Okay.
Are we doing special exception first?
Okay, we'll do the special exception first.
What's that go to, the commissioner?
No, it goes to Board of Appeals. And we'll be sending this special exception to the Board of Appeals. When you go there, the burden of proof is on you. You might have some photos and stuff.
Okay, so do I leave these here for you, or I take these? Okay. Need the update? Okay.
Or they need the updated version.
So, I'm sorry.
But we're glad you read the TAC information and were able to move your buses around so that you have more space.
That's
okay,
good.
We're looking for a recommendation, Board of Appeals, special exception. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Is there any public comment on this? Yes, ma'am. A neighbor. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is true? and state your name and address for the benefit of the tape when it's...
Sarah Matilda Williams Wessel, 10974 Wharton Road, Wharton, Maryland.
Okay, and your testimony is?
My testimony is, Mr. Wheeler said that some things were brought up last night and that they were addressed and people left and still had their opinions, but he didn't mention that the things that were brought up were specifically when you put buses in this area and lock the entrance, the access for emergency equipment getting to the high school, getting to the elementary school, and for the helicopter, which normally comes in there, and that area is used for the fire department and the ambulances. In the past, I think that there is one more area that they can use for that, but it's frequently used according to wind and whatever. They bring the transport helicopter into the grass immediately next to this. They use this particular area for the fire engines, the ambulances, and the emergency equipment. And with that locked up, there's 16 buses inside there. That does prevent that access. It also prevents the access of parking, which is used for the high school for any large things, graduations and other things. Those were a couple of the things that were brought up last night that weren't mentioned in this application. Thank you.
Mr. Wheeler, how are you addressing the access by emergency vehicles if needed?
If you look in the site plan, if there's a fire or something at Wharton Elementary School, there is an access gate there for the fire department, and there's a Knox box that's going to be on that gate, so the fire department will have keys to that.
So they'll have a lock box?
Yes.
And have a key there that they can get in, and they have a key to the lock box to get the key to get the gate open?
Yes, ma'am.
Which means that the volunteer fire company has to go to a lockbox to get in past 16 buses to get in and out. One other thing that was brought up was if there is an accident on 298 at or near the entrance to the high school, this seriously reduces the egress from the high school area for anybody that needs to get out during that time. We were told that there is a minor exit across the old student parking, the student driving training. Excuse my language there. There is some exit there, but those were the particular things that in cutting off that exit and entrance, those particular things I think should be recognized. And I thank you.
Thank you. Who will have keys to this gate?
The keys to the gate will be the employees, but there will be a Knox box on there. They call it a Knox box. And what will happen is the fire department will have access to that box, and they'll have access. The keys will be in there. So if they need to unlock any of the gates, they'll be able to unlock the gates.
Well, the example she brought up, an accident on 298 that blocks the exit and entrance from the high school.
And there is another entrance. There is an exit and entrance behind the high school. We brought that up last night as well. There's an exit behind the high school, the old driver's ed range. That takes you back into Wharton Park, and you can go to Wharton Park. You can come back out around the community center.
School personnel would have keys to this gate.
Yes, ma'am.
So there will be.
Yes.
Thanks for bringing that up.
I have to go back and listen to what she just said, based on the fact the overflow of the programs they have at King County High sometime. I've seen a lot of parking being used. I mean, they use the Wharton parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
So would these buses take up that parking lot?
They wouldn't be able to park in that area anymore because the buses would be there.
You know,
anyone
based
else in the
on her
audience wish to comment on this application?
That's okay.
Okay. Do you have any final?
I do not, ma'am, unless you guys have any.
Okay. All right. So Joe threw me off. Bill threw me off there by saying let's do special exception. Yes, one more thing.
One other thing. This addresses 15 or 16 buses, which is half of the total fleet, which means that it would not look forward to if they have any need for buses in the future, which the current bus need is about 30. And so the county said that they were not, because of financial reasons, they didn't have plans at this time to purchase more, but it would not it would not make a plan that would address the future use, which if they used a different area, would. Thank you.
And you want me to address that, or?
Yes.
Okay. And in addressing that, as we stated last night, we do not have any interest in purchasing any more school buses and assuming any more contracts. Right now, we are hybrid, and which is working well. It's half contractor, half county owned, and it's a very good relationship that we have right now. And we have our plans to keep it that way.
Would you be interested in decreasing your number of buses if other contractors went?
I'll say right now, we're interested in the hybrid, half and half.
Okay, half and half. All right. Any more questions? All right, does anyone wish to make a motion on the special exception that they're going to need to do this? And we'll be sending that to the Board of Appeals. The Board of Appeals only sees our motion, so it's always got to be a fat motion with everything in it.
I make a motion that we send a favorable recommendation to Kent County Board of Education, or Kent County Board of Appeals, or the Kent County Board of Education to put a bus parking lot over the existing parking lot at the Wharton Elementary School building at 25301 Lands Meadow Road. According to special exception standards for school bus parking, is to maintain and upgrade existing educational facilities and programs. The applicable law under Article 5, Section 7.3 identifies school bus parking lot as a principal use permitted as a special exception in the village district, which this is, subject to site plan review and the standards found in Article 7. Article 7, Section 7.4, the Kent County Land Use Ordinance authorizes the Kent County Board of Appeals to grant a special exception for school bus parking lot in the village district, provided the application complies with the following, which according to this plan, no part of the school bus parking facilities are located in the 100-year floodplain. The area for school bus parking, fueling, or repair are to be done off-site. The area will be designated for school bus parking. There will not be any storage of materials or products outside. All county-owned vehicles are to be registered with the Maryland Vehicle Administration and current up-to-date. Any privately owned buses parking on site will likewise be registered with the Motor Vehicle Administration. The entrance and exit to this parking lot shall be on 298. The entire proposed parking area is currently paved and there are no current plans for expansion of the parking area. The applicant has submitted and had approved a landscaping plan to provide screening from adjacent properties and public roads. Adequate restroom facilities are being provided in the former elementary school, which is currently served by county water and sewer. For these reasons, I recommend a favorable request to the Kent County Board of Appeals.
Okay, there's a motion before you. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, the motion has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Are you ready for the question? Okay, all those in favor of sending a favorable recommendation to the Board of Appeals for this application, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we will send that. Now, we have to deal with your site plan. The site plan is just like we had it sent to us, except this row has been shoved up here so that this turn radius is bigger.
This row's been shoved up. Right, the center.
Yes, I don't have it in front of me now.
Here, I thought it was these were shoved up.
I believe. Where's the?
It was the center line.
I believe. I just want to make sure. I don't want to say anything wrong on oath.
This one, right?
I think it's the last one. Yeah, he did shove them up. If you look.
This has been shoved up
Yes,
on the big air circle. No, it's not.
this last one.
Doesn't matter, because I think the asphalt really comes this way.
It does. But like I said, the last one has been moved. So we changed the turning radius on.
Did you want to tell us anything else about your site plan? I think we covered it all. Okay. Does anyone in the audience wish to say anything about the site plan? Wish you all haven't seen it.
We were shown last night at
Up there.
Did I see a hand?
It's up there.
It's up there. Oh, okay. Look up there if you need to see it. Okay. Anyone ready to make a motion about the site plan?
Yeah. What are we looking at, preliminary and final?
Combination, all three.
I recommend we make a motion to grant preliminary and final site plan approval for the Kent County Board of Education, just requesting a site plan for a parking lot at the former Wharton Elementary School building located at 25301 Lambs Meadow Road. Found that it meets the comprehensive plan. This proposal represents a minor impact on the community, as no expansion of the existing parking area is proposed. The Board of Education held a citizen participation plan on Wednesday, August 1st, 2018. The proposal is consistent with many comprehensive plan strategies and conforms with the applicable provisions of that ordinance. The Board of Education proposes access to and from the parking area at Maryland Route 298 entrance only. The parking area is clearly delineated. Access for emergency vehicles has also been delineated and explained by Mr. Wheeler. The turn-in radius to the south has been, the buses have been shifted further north to allow for a better turning radius at the south. The existing lighting is mounted at the former Wharton Elementary School. Proposal includes school bus parking only. Fueling and minor repairs will not be done on site. The closest dwelling is located approximately 300 feet from the parking area. That the hours of operation have been explained. No vegetation is to be removed. Approved landscaping plan has been submitted. The proposed school bus parking area is located upon an existing bus loading and unloading area. A location meets the setback requirements and is located within the technical side yard of this property, which is a corner lot fronting on two public roads. No signage other than no trespassing signs are planned, and surtees for landscaping are not applicable for this site. And also, Mr. Wheeler has testified that the policy regarding engine control at the start of the workday is limited to 15 minutes prior to that bus leaving the lot. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
For those reasons, I recommend approval of the site plan.
Is there a second to that motion?
A second.
Okay, the motion has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed. Okay, but it all hinges on your Board of Appeals on August 20th.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Proof is on you, so take all your stuff.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, our next application is John H. and Sandra D. Crasdell and Jeffrey Pettit, and they too are looking for a combined site plan approval and a special exception. You may have either one. You need to stand up, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give will be true?
I do.
And state your name and address for the benefit of the tape when it's transcribed.
Edit. Currently reside at 106 Breon Lane, Cecil County, Maryland.
Okay, staff, do you have your report?
Jeff Pettit requests a special exception and site plan review, combined site plan review, for the poultry houses on a parcel where the owner cannot handle the waste generated by the poultry house. There isn't a more efficient way to state it. That's the way it's stated in the ordinance. The property is currently owned by the Christels, but it is the subject of a minor subdivision application. And the result will be a 107.9 acre lot on which the poultry operation is situated. The property is located on Lynch Road in the zoned agricultural zoning district. The special exception standards relative to the poultry houses on parcels which cannot handle the waste is found in Article 5, Section 1.318 of the ordinance, and the standards are articulated in Article 7, Section 7.36, as well as the general standards in Article 7, Section 2. Pertinent information relative to the standards are findings of the comprehensive plan, which support efforts to encourage young farmers to continue the county's agricultural tradition, growth of the Eastern Shore seriously threatened farmland and farming, and support of agriculture as a permanent and preferred land use. Kent County as an agriculturally friendly county. The staff impact comments on the applicable laws are as follows. All buildings and waste management structures are located between 600-foot minimum and 2,140 feet from all property lines. No part of the operation is in the floodplain. The operation will be managed in accordance to a waste and nutrient management plan by the NRCS and the Maryland Extension Service, as well as the Kent County Health Department. There has been no history or indication that phosphorus has been a problem in this location. Sediment and stormwater management plans have been approved by the Soil Water Conservation District, though they have asked that the stormwater conveyances be reconstructed in accordance with an as-built survey. That construction is underway and is not currently completed, but should be completed in time for the Board of Appeals to hear the case. The nutrient management plan, as I noted, has been updated as of June 2018 for the current applicant and the proposed property owner. The existing poultry operation has been located on this property and has been operating in accordance with the building permit issued in 2014. While the operation is visible from Maryland 298, it is not clearly visible from off-site views to the west and south due to the natural elevation of the land. This was a factor in an adjacent case when considering landscaping. In 2013, Willard's Agri-Service installed a small-scale energy system, and consideration was given to the natural contours of the land and existing. That site is not clearly visible from adjacent properties, adjacent roadways. Neither is this operation except from Maryland Route 298. There are no changes proposed to any displays or signage or lighting on site. The applicant's narrative has been provided to you and outlines existing traffic patterns. Also, the applicant has outlined that all poultry litter is contained inside the poultry house until it's time for a clean out, and during the clean out, the current owner has a contract with the local farmer who runs the litter directly out of the house. It does not go into a litter shed. In the event that the litter needs to be stored, there are 2 litter sheds that are large enough for the poultry farm to operate for a minimum of 3 years without selling litter. And all of these practices do protect well water and protect nutrients from entering the waterways. Relative to, I'm trying to read too quickly for my own good. In terms of proximity to other structures and places of public gathering, this operation is located 3,000 feet to the west of the Lynch Community Church, which is the closest place of public gathering, and is also the closest structure that has been listed on historic land records. The operation is located 1,500 feet from the closest church and 1,700 feet away from Willard's Agri-Service. The minor subdivision application process, through that process, the Christels did send letters to agencies asking for input on impact of amenities to be provided, and we received letters from the Sheriff's Department and Emergency Services. The applicant also conducted a citizen participation plan through contact and received no comments at that time. Staff is mindful of the county's right to farm provisions, which is a statement that is required on all plats, on this plat, minor subdivision plat, and any plats in the general. The poultry operation has been in effect since 2014, and the applicant provided documentation that illustrates continued compliance with standards. This operation is permitted in the agricultural zoning district, subject to the special exception due to the minor subdivision. And I would note, in terms of the site plan review standards found in Article 6, Section 5, that this special exception application generally requires a major site plan review, but since this application involves an existing operation, subject to a pending minor subdivision application, staff feels that the subdivision plat affiliated with the application should suffice for the purposes of ensuring that this project complies with the comprehensive plan and the land use ordinance standards. The subdivision plat clearly identifies all structures and access points among the structures within the poultry operation, and the applicant can address patterns for loading and unloading of vehicles during the normal operation of the farm. The health department has verified the adequacy of methods of sewage and refuse disposal on site for the farm trailer and the affiliated agricultural building, as well as for the subdivided parcel. With all that said, staff has the following comments on the special exception and the site plan. It's the intent of this provision to provide for certain uses because of their unique characteristics, and that the special exception use may be authorized so long as the additional and specific standards are met. The applicant has submitted a narrative which addresses those standards. So the staff also opines that the operation differs from a potential proposed operation in that this is an existing operation that was approved in accordance with the ordinance requirements for a poultry operation, and the potential buyer of the subdivided operation proposes to operate the poultry farm essentially under the same nutrient management plan as the current property owner. The applicant has addressed all specific and general standards, and as long as the sediment control and stormwater management plans, which have been approved by the Soil Conservation District, have been implemented in time for the Board of Appeals hearing, staff would recommend support of the special exception with that one condition. In terms of the site plan, it's staff's opinion that the subdivision plat affiliated with this minor subdivision application suffices to ensure compliance with the ordinance and the comprehensive plan, and therefore recommends approval of that plat.
Any correspondence?
Not in this case.
Okay. What would you like to tell us about the application?
I think what the board has in their favor in this case is not, we have an operation that's already existing. Everything that is happening now will continue to happen just as it has in the past. So the board and the county, everyone has had the opportunity to see what impact this would have on the community. It's operating now without what I feel is no negative impact to the community, and will continue to operate it in that manner.
Are you trucking manure away from the site now?
That's correct.
You're doing it now?
That is correct.
But I'm no farmer. The nutrient management plan, are they every year? When do they have to be upgraded?
There's dates on there as to when they expire, but I know that the soil is checked. I believe the soil is checked annually. I won't actually farm, or wherever the nutrients are going to that farmer, their soils will be checked. And so what I refer to as a no land plan for the nutrient management, basically what we're doing is we would be trucking all the manure off of the site. And the nutrient management plan would be done by the people who are purchasing that manure. It would be applied per their nutrient management plan to the ground they're farming.
But you have to have a plan saying this is what you're doing, you're trucking it off the property.
That's correct, and we have that.
There are no dwellings here except the mobile home,
That is correct.
and that's where the manager or the...
That's correct. That's where I'll be staying.
You'll be there,
That's correct.
okay? Are there any more questions? Now, we have site plan we have to approve, and then we have a special exception to send to the Board of Appeals. Special exception is for farms not having enough area to use the manure they produce. Much demand for organic manure? I mean, that's what you're producing is organic manure, isn't it?
Well, yeah, there's a demand for it. As a matter of fact, I spoke with someone today who,
It's a little higher price than regular stuff?
no, it's cheaper. Cheaper than chemically produced fertilizers.
I didn't mean chemicals, but I meant other manure. A lot of chicken manure is trucked up here from down the shore.
Well, the nutrient content is higher
Yeah.
that they're looking for, so you can apply less of it for the same amount of nutrients.
Do we have any questions up here?
No, I don't have any.
No.
Anyone in the audience wish to speak about this application? Yes, sir. Please come forward.
I didn't come prepared for this, but yeah, I did have an opportunity to speak to Mr.
Are you asking questions or testifying? Well, let's just swear you in. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the
Yes.
Do you say, okay, fine. And state your name and address so that...
10650 Cliff Road.
You're stumbling through it today, aren't you?
Very, very familiar
Yeah.
with this property because, I'm Chief Operating Officer for Willard Agri-Service, and we have the abutting property to this. We actually built the access road to this property.
Right.
I would support this special exception because it's a very nice operation, out of sight, out of mind. My only concern is, because I deal with this at Cliff Road, is we, Willard Agri-Service, built the access road into this poultry operation so that they didn't use the roads attached to our property. And my question is, who is going to be responsible for maintaining this road?
Not the county.
No, we don't expect that.
There is a, the road is platted and there's a recorded road maintenance agreement.
There is, okay, I'm not aware of that, okay.
Okay?
That's it.
All right. When your birds are taken out, do they go to 213 or do they go down 298? Which way do they go, left or right? When they're...
Actually, I haven't paid much attention to it. I'm usually busy down at the barn.
Which way they went?
They're headed to Lower Delaware.
Okay, so they would do the turn left to 213. Okay. All right, do you want to deal with a special exception first?
Anybody got a problem with it?
No, it's just handling the manure when you don't have enough.
Speaking.
What?
The public's done.
Anyone else in the public wish to comment? No, we have one manure specialist out there. Okay, and we have no more questions? Got to get going here.
I have questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So, my name is Shannon. I'm the granddaughter of Eric Rice. He does own the property next door. I'm not sure if that is 505 maybe.
Now, is it about this application?
I'm not sure. I have never done this before. But it was in reference to expanding. I'm not sure if they were expanding into the property or wanting to buy the property, so I'm not sure what that meant. So I had questions about that and just didn't know.
Can I answer? The goal here is there's a subdivision based on this special exception. There is no plans to expand or change the operation. The operation will continue to operate just as it does now. Essentially, there's no change to the operation. The manure that comes off the property will be exported because there's not enough land there to apply the manure on that piece of property.
All right.
Well, I'd look at this, and I don't see any way you can expand on this piece of property you have.
That's correct.
600 feet. They have a 600-foot buffer.
Okay, I think there was a confusion as far as the letters that came in.
All right.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Who's the special? We grant that, or do we have to send it on?
My concern is health problems. Or dealing with waste from chicken farms.
May we ask you to say your name and address?
I'm sorry. Eric Waste.
Do you solemnly swear under the penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give will be true?
Yes.
And state your name and address for the benefit of the tape?
Eric Rice, 3085 Oak Avenue, 21207.
And your testimony is?
I want to ask this gentleman, do you know the effects of the waste that chickens produce? We Googled some things about the health problems. That's my main concern about when dealing with waste. How it's going to affect the community. Not only just me, I live in Baltimore, but people around there in that community. And I don't have the inside knowledge of how it would affect you. But hey, you got the families that live in the area. I only have 2.some acres there. I've had people tell me that they have fly problems. When the chickens die, they have them dead carcasses and stuff, all that's in the waste when they dump them. Now, you sent me a letter saying that the facility can't handle the waste that's producing from the farm. So that's why I'm here. I want to hear what advantages will it help, with the health problem concerning the community, and if he continue with the process he has right now. I have no common knowledge of it. I mean, I don't have nothing issue, but business is business. But I'm saying health problems, another thing, the mother issue. You got young kids, young people that is coming up in the community. Hey, I look at the future of Big Woods, and hey, I have friends there. I know they know him. I call him Mr. Goop. In school with him. We have family relationship. My concern is the community. Now, something like this is something that you need to look at. Health problems is number one. Understand me? It may not be a problem now. I'm talking about 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road when he decides to expand. If he expand, that means chickens will produce more waste. Now you're going to have to build a facility to process that waste. That's it. You're just going to pile it up, and then you say, I'm going to let some of it just run off on the land. Because I got a little stream that runs behind a problem. So will it eventually overflow into that? You understand me?
Are you having any current problems?
Ma'am?
Are you having any problems currently with this operation?
I haven't been there to visit that, but I received a letter from the commissioner.
Right.
That the gentleman's getting ready. They made me aware that this is going to happen.
Okay.
That's why I came here today to hear what your process is.
All right.
That's my issue.
This particular operation doesn't really have any room to expand with our current ordinance. They have to have 600 feet from every property line. So this particular one will not expand. We've heard testimony that it is going to continue to operate just as it has been operating. How do you take care of your dead birds? You have a composter?
No, this farm actually, the birds are frozen, and they are hauled off the location and made into other products.
Okay. All right, so you freeze the dead birds?
That's correct.
And dispose of them off the property?
That's correct.
Way off.
Well, they're sold to a processing plant, so yes.
Okay. Does that answer your questions? But they can't expand.
If you approve it,
I know this is okay for it. I'm gonna sue your buddy. It'll come back on my family. Hey, anybody get sick, you can hear it from me.
Okay.
It's a woods between it. It's really a woods between that.
All right.
What he's
Do
talking
you think we
about.
answered his questions okay?
I think so, but I want to clarify that this is a special exception application, so what is being presented, site plan and testimony, is what the approval is for. So should there be any change to the ordinance in future or any expansion plan in accordance with the 600-foot setback, he would have to come back for another review. So this review isn't that review. This is review is for what is there and what is before you right now. There's no expansion on that site plan.
Do you want to do the site plan first? What motion are you ready to make?
Either one. Neither one. Well, let's do the special exception.
Okay.
I make a motion that we grant a special exception to John H. Crastel at Ux and Jeffrey S. Pettit for 6 poultry houses, 2 manure buildings, a pump house, and a mobile home. We gotta find what we're giving it for. For poultry houses on a parcel where the owner cannot handle the waste generated by the poultry houses as a use permitted as a special exception in the agricultural zoning district, which is subject to site plan review and standards found in Article 7. Let me go down through this if I can.
Well, he's testified that it's going to operate as it was.
All
he has
buildings
his
and waste
plans.
management structures are located at least 600 feet and 2,140 feet from all property lines. No part of this operation is located in a floodplain. The operation will be managed according to the waste and nutrient management plan approved by the Natural Resource Conservation Service, the University of Maryland Extension Service, and the Kent County Health Department. There's been no history or indication of phosphorus is a problem or is likely to be a problem on this site. The sediment and stormwater management plans have been approved and will be completed prior to Board of Appeals approval. The applicant has provided a comprehensive nutrient management plan that demonstrates that the poultry houses will be operated in a safe and environmentally sound manner and will not create a hazard to surrounding area and waterways. That plan is dated June 18th and is on file in the department. The existing poultry operation has been on this site since 2014, and the applicant does not propose any changes to the nature of the operation by adding buildings or poultry houses at this time. For these reasons, I recommend we send a favorable recommendation to the Kent County Board of Appeals.
There's a motion before you. Is there a second? Okay, the motion has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Maybe you should put in there that the manure will continue to be handled as it has been. What do you think?
Has been. Oh, as it has been. I'll modify that to say, and the applicant has testified that the chicken manure will be handled as it has been in previous years.
We won't do that as an addendum. We'll just add it in. Okay, you still approve that?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All right, ready for the question? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we'll send a favorable recommendation to Board of Appeals. Not done yet, but that's, the burden of proof is on you. Okay, site plan. And this is preliminary and final. And we understand the soil conservation work is being done as we speak?
That's correct.
Okay. And that must be done before you go to the Board of Appeals on August 20th.
That's correct. The rough grading is being completed now, and we anticipate it'll be seeded and strawed and ready for a sign-off next week.
We need proof. Letter from soil conservation, photos, whatever. Okay, site plan.
I make a motion that we grant final and preliminary site plan approval to Jeffrey S. Pettit for property owned right now by John H. Crastel at Ux. Have an address of that?
11505.
11505 Lynch Road, Lynch, Maryland. The site plan is for existing 6 poultry houses, 2 manure buildings, and a pump house, and 1 mobile home. The plan meets the standards set in the Kent County Comprehensive Plan. The nature of the proposed site in size and shape and proposed arrangements of structures meet the Kent County Land Use Ordinance. Operation is a permitted use in the agricultural zoning district. This is a existing operation since 2014.
No complaints.
With no complaints. Bear with me. Joe Hickman's not here.
You're doing fine.
Yeah. According to the applicant's narrative, traffic patterns will remain unchanged from those currently needed to operate the farm. The property is adjacent to the village of Lynch and located behind Willard's Agriservice. Otherwise, the property is surrounded by agricultural land to the north, east, and south, with an area of community residential located on the southeast in the community of Big Woods. We found that this site is adequately screened from all adjacent properties. The operation is approximately 3,000 feet west of the Lynch Community Church, which is the closest place of public gathering if it were operating. During that minor subdivision application process, the Crastels sent letters to county agencies requesting a statement of impact of the proposed subdivision. The Kent County Sheriff's Department, the Office of Emergency Service, documented no undue impact project on the community facilities and services. There are no changes to the existing operation proposed by Mr. Pruitt. Therefore, there should be no undue impact on cultural or historic landmarks, significant natural features, and trees. According to the applicant's narrative, there should be no effect of noise, vibration, smoke, particulate matter, toxic matter, odor, fire, or explosion hazards, or glare. For these reasons, I recommend that we send a favorable.
No, this is our decision.
That we grant final and preliminary.
Reference that the minor subdivision standards suffice to meet the site plans.
We find that the minor subdivision standards suffice to meet the minor site plan standards as well.
The subdivision plat you're accepting in lieu of a formal site plan.
Do you have that? It's for these reasons.
For those reasons.
And
That's
amended
correct.
reasons.
Well, you got to get it there.
That
Okay.
I recommend approval of the minor and final site plan.
Okay. There's a motion before you. Is there a second? Okay, the motion's been seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Good luck to you. Kim, you're leaving us now? Okay, so
So we have closed.
we tried. We're terribly sorry that we did not get farther in today's agenda. Kim does telecommuting, and she has to commute at 3. So this will be the first item on the September I don't have my paper here with the date on the September meeting. Correct? Mitch, do you have anything you'd like to say?
September 7th.
During the meeting, you can still continue with staff reports.
Yes, we're not adjourning our meeting. We still have to do our staff reports and those things, but we will not be able to hear another application. Is that right, Mitch?
Can't take any action.
Yeah.
Receive it.
Before she leaves. Have you reviewed the annual report, and are you in a position to support and approve the annual report in 2017 as Stephanie labored over and submitted?
I have.
If you haven't reviewed it, we can do it next time.
I haven't.
Okay.
Our next meeting, what, September 7th? Calendar right here.
6th?
6th of September.
6th of September. We're sorry, but it happened, was not in our control. So we're continuing our meeting with our staff reports, review the annual report, and general discussion. And the first item is the annual report.
We're going to defer that to next month. We need a quorum to approve.
Okay, we need a quorum to approve that, so that also will be put to next month. But we can do staff reports.
Well, I did complete the annual report
And you rushed so hard to get it done.
Yes, and I had a lot of help from everybody else in the office too, so it wasn't just me. On July 17th, I attended the bi-monthly SCAT meeting. They discussed a House bill that was signed by Governor Hogan. Basically, it's sea level rise, inundation, and coastal flooding. Talks about basically construction and mitigation. Basically, on the local level, they want us to produce a plan that addresses nuisance flooding. So, done by July of 2019. So we're working with ESLC, some maybe guidance document. So.
Are they going to take stormwater runoff into effect this time?
It doesn't state that in the actual, but it's very brief in what they, and it's very vague. So what exactly they're requiring, I'm not exactly sure. SCAP and the ESLC, we're going to try to work with the state and narrow down what exactly they.
I ate lunch in a restaurant 2 Fridays ago, and last Friday it was 6 feet underwater.
Chester Town?
From stormwater runoff. Cecil County.
I granted administrative side yard setback variance for a replacement single family dwelling. It's in Kentland Park. Basically, the footprint is just going to be what the existing footprint is now. There's not much changing, but the house basically sits in the floodplain. It doesn't meet the floodplain requirements, so it's a very narrow lot. I attended the Critical Area Quarterly meeting, and they discussed green infrastructure. Public hearing has been scheduled for August 29th for the Critical Area Remapping line. So the property owners will be notified from the Critical Area Commission.
Well, we thank you for your hard work on the annual report. Mitch, do you have a report?
We have a trial date in action against McCloskey and Still Pond. We got a new trial date. We have a trial date on the case against Bayshore on October 3rd, I think. So hopefully we'll get some kind of a ruling after that.
I don't have a report this month because the last 4 or 5 days I've been grappling with this agenda, so I haven't compiled a report. Other than to note that I will be attending Mako during 14th through the 17th, and the agenda items are focused on water quality and watershed planning efforts. Basically looking forward to Phase 3 watershed implementation planning efforts and all of the various component parts of stormwater, the water resources elements, and other watershed planning efforts that are moving in the regulatory.
Did we have any flooding during these rain downpours we've had?
No, and I've called around and I've talked to Ginger Gregg about that, who's the emergency planner with EOS, and I've been in touch with the town of Rock Hall with some concerns, and there has not been an impact that I'm aware of.
Okay. What about the debris business? Is Rock Hall getting lots of that?
I haven't heard anything.
All blew to the western shore. They've got it right in Annapolis Harbor.
Mike have heard anything either, which is very surprising because I got an email today from the Fire Commission. She was wondering, what counties were doing and who has been affected.
I'm checking Betterton Beach because Betterton Days this
Betterton would
weekend,
get it,
and
I
haven't
would
seen
think,
it.
yeah.
Hey, it's
That's
all,
Saturday.
the east wind blew it all to the western shore. You ought to see the beach out in front of the Chesapeake Bay Foundation.
I heard that DNR basically has put together 2 days of cleanup for Sandy Point.
Yeah.
I mean, the Annapolis
Clean
Dock
would be
has
down
just got
Betterton, clean
stuff.
up. You ought to do it on a Sunday.
Is there any other business to be brought before the organization? I want to thank you all for your hard work to get today done.
I didn't think we'd get to that.
So we got some things done, but the other one,
Thank you all for being so patient with me as I've been reaching out to you and trying to flip the agenda so that we could cover as much as possible. And
well, I feel like we got the things done that need to get done, especially the school. They needed to be done. There was something that we didn't get done.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, I make a motion, we adjourn. Okay.